Muchas gracias. Buenos días. Uh, Coming from the Philippines, well, I'd like to share with you some of the perspectives that we have on ICTs, and based on the question that Mr. Nestor Berkovich has enumerated a while ago. First, we definitely need to push for universal access, and this definitely will involve availability of telecommunications infrastructure. Efforts must be concerted and part of an overall plan. Unfortunately, most efforts in this has been disparate, has been disconnected, has been disjointed. I agree with the observation earlier of Mr. Berkovich, our chair, that there is a lack of coordination among the different organizations, among different government sectors in providing connectivity, providing the facilities. Many of our corporate social responsibility activities identify small, isolated communities without regard to the overall impact for the entire sector. So what happens is that the impact is very minimal, and sometimes the adoption of the technology is very different. So you do not have the scalability because these are the flavors of the month, so to speak. So what happens is that certain communities, if they get some media attention, then they get donor attention. Then everybody wants to participate in providing digital opportunities to that community without regard to many other communities that do not receive the media attention that they probably also deserve. So there is an imbalance in the concentration of assistance, in the sense that certain communities have too much assistance, while other communities are completely isolated because of this. So we feel that there is a need for the organization to provide some direction and some overall plan and rationale to have a more inclusive digital inclusion effort, in the sense of being able to consolidate, to coordinate all the various donations and corporate social responsibility activities and spread them out more evenly. In terms of the role of the state in improving universal access to ICTs, definitely the state's role will have to be in infrastructure. That requires a massive amount of capital, and it would require a lot of planning. So a lot of activities have gone into this. Some countries have created universal access funds where either it comes from a general budget of government or from generation of income from the sale of spectrum or frequencies. And these are used in turn to be able to provide connectivity in the last mile, which are often what we call missionary routes. The telecoms companies do not want to put the investment, put the infrastructure in those areas because it is not profitable for them. And so government has to come in to make those interventions. And many types of incentives are provided there, whether government just provides the funding to do it, or that as part of their franchise to some telecommunications companies, that if they are awarded franchise to profitable areas, they have to also cover a certain portion of the non-profitable areas to ensure better infrastructure coverage. As Richard has mentioned earlier, mobile penetration is increasing rapidly, mainly because mobile phones are much more affordable now, and definitely smartphones are going to be even more affordable in the near future. For instance, in the Philippines, with 95 million population, we have at least 75 million active mobile phones, as against barely 5 million computers connected to the internet. So with more smartphones, affordable smartphones, we would see a sudden sharp increase in connectivity, not probably from the land-based communications or internet facility, but more from the mobile devices. And this trend will definitely continue. So we are seeing empowerment more of the communities who have access to these mobile devices. It's important that when we introduce telecentres in the communities, as has been mentioned by other speakers, it's not just to manage the telecentres, but more importantly is that it should be strategically utilized to improve the welfare of the community economically, health-wise, education-wise. And the way to do this really is to encourage more synergy of applications, not just by providing the facility in those locations, but allowing telehealth applications to be used in those communities, or online education content to be provided there, e-commerce where the community will be able to sell their goods or access market information through the use of those facilities, introducing them to technopreneurship opportunities and training. And these are the specific actions that our organization really is undertaking. So for instance, instead of just setting up those communication facilities, community or telecentres in those areas, we teach them how to access content, how to access the web. There's so much opportunity, so much content available online. And it's very important to teach them how to look for them. To give you an example, in the Philippines is composed of 7,100 islands. So we have many fishermen community, fisherfolk communities. So in many of those communities, when the fishermen go and are able to catch their fish, they do not have refrigeration facilities. So they bring it to the market, they sell. If those fish do not sell in the market, what do they do with it? Well, the traditional way is to dry them, to dry the fish with salt so that it is preserved and it can be sold at a later date. Otherwise, the fish will spoil. But what happens is that the whole community dries the fish, and everybody's selling dried fish in the whole community. So the prices are very low. Through the telecenter programs, we're able to assist some of those communities to learn new technologies in preserving fish. Either put them in oil, smoke them, and many other technologies. So that in some of these communities where everybody else are selling dried fish, you now have telecenter empowered people, fishermen, who are selling smoked fish. And for the same fish, the seller of the smoked fish definitely will earn much, much more because they're the only ones in the community that sell smoked fish, while everybody else is selling dried fish. So these are the types of interventions where we teach them, we show them actually, we teach them, we show them how to look for those content. And these content are the ones that empower them to be more economically competitive us against others. Same thing with our remote villages in the mountains where they produce a lot of vegetables. Takes several hours to transport those vegetables to the market, and sometimes over mountainous roads. If the bus or the truck breaks down, then the vegetables just rot because they do not have post-harvest facilities. So through these programs, they learn that these vegetables can be preserved in other ways. In one of the mountain villages in the Philippines, they learned to make kimchi out of those vegetables. And therefore, later on, they're able to sell those vegetables at a much higher profit and therefore develop better economic opportunities for them. So access to this technology, as well as technopreneurship opportunities definitely will help. So thank you very much.
Gracias.